Amy here with Years of Years, and it's this day in Disney for May 24th, and today we are talking about a very special Disney legend, a Disney matte painter artist. On this day, back in 1918, legend Peter Ellenshaw is born in London, England. So a matte artist, painter, is someone who creates those beautiful landscapes for film. And so if you maybe have like a castle in your film, but you don't want to build a big castle set of the outside of the castle, you would have a matte painter come in back in the day and do it. And so Peter Ellenshaw was a great matte painter, and he actually was trained as well by a great painter. He was born in London. He was born right after World War I, and so his father had passed away, and it was just him and his mother and two sisters, and they did grow up without a lot. And he even said they were poor. And so he only did school up until age 14, and then he started working in like a mechanic shop, a car shop, and he had to do the greasing of cars, which they have machines for that these days, but he had to do it you know, back then, and he hated it. And he would actually come home at night, and he was self-taught in drawing and painting, and he quite enjoyed that. And there was a man who came to his town, and you know, this was a hard time for Europe, and not a lot of people had that much, you know, money at the time. And so this man, Walter Percy Day, came, and he was a matte artist, and he had been doing matte art for lots of different films and was well known and very talented. And he actually worked in the silent film era, started there, and was moving into you know, as everything progressed. And so you know, they basically met each other, and he was able to convince, Peter Ellenshaw was able to convince him to take him on and teach him, and he actually became his assistant and worked for like 5 shillings, I think, a week. Or yeah, that's just not a lot of money, and he said it wasn't a lot of money, but he was formally trained by, you know, being his assistant, and it was just him. And then Peter Ellenshaw working with him, and then of course Percy had his 2 sons who also were working, and they actually created a studio there. So he was well trained, and you know, after a few years, he decided that after World War II, he actually met his wife over here in America, and because he had to go to the hospital, he met her, and they got married pretty quickly and came back to England. He was actually a fighter pilot. He was trained to be a fighter pilot. He never did go and fight with, you know, the planes and stuff, but he was a trainer of and during the war. So then they came back, and he decided he wanted to break away. Well, the funny thing is, his mom ended up being a maid for Percy Day, and she was a widow. Percy was a widow at the time, and they ended up being married. So they called him Pops Day, and Pops became, you know, Peter's father or stepfather. So that was pretty cool, pretty cute story. And so he wanted to break away though, because, you know, he wanted to do his own thing. So he ended up working with some other studios there in England, and I believe he was working with MGM Studios, and then Walt Disney came over, and he actually got to do matte paintings for Treasure Island. For that film, they actually didn't go to an island, and he's responsible for making it look like they were really out in the ocean. He painted all those extra ships and a lot of the footage, and made it look so real and so amazing. And then he ended up coming and working for Walt Disney Studios. You know, he came over. Walt didn't invite him over at the time. They didn't have work for him, but Walt just found work for him. And his first big film was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and he's responsible for all the painting and beautiful visual work on that film. He also helped with the lighting. There was an Academy Award won for special effects and the background painting and all the effects, and he had a big part in that, and so he basically won an Academy Award at the time. Then later on he was involved in lots of other films with Disney. He continued to do map work and continued to paint for them. He is responsible for that Disneyland map that you see. That was the original artwork that they used in the postcards that they printed and that Walt showed, you know, on the Disneyland show, talking about Disneyland forthcoming, and he painted that. And so that's Peter Ellenshaw. And then the biggest thing is that he did all the beautiful paintings and work for Mary Poppins. And just imagine that scene where Mary is flying in over the city of London. That it really brings you right in to Mary Poppins and the whole film, and gives you all the feelings that go with the movie. And that's his work, and that's you know, that's what he did. And then after he worked for Disney, I think he left in '79, and he continued to just be a painter. Not just, he continued to be a painter, and you can go find his work online and examples of his work. An extraordinary artist, self-taught, amazing contributions to all the films that we love, and Walt really had a lot of admiration for him. You know, he tells this story that really isn't true, but about finding Peter Ellenshaw painting on the streets of London, and it's just so important to remember that, because that's that scene where Bert is a street painter in London. That's like a nod to Peter Ellenshaw, and Peter Ellenshaw did those paintings for Mary Poppins too. So great artist, please go look him up. Just a great asset, and a lot of the visual things that you see in the background in Disney films are because of his great talent and work. So that's it for this day in Disney. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!